Okay, welcome to Can You Relate? This is going to be a weekly podcast show that me and some special guests, especially Ifa Bukola, who is on the line, will be diving into some subject matters, just having open dialogue, open discussion, and I'm quite sure there's going to be many of y'all out there who can relate, who's going to want to chime in. We welcome that. We hope you chime in because right now it's all about the man and woman, particularly the Black man and woman coming to the table and having some dialogue. Recently, Ifa Bukola, you and I were talking about the Angel Reese incident, where she showed up, what was it, on Wild 'N Out with some Daisy,
Yes.
Daisy Duke
Uh,
shorts, or yeah, and she
yeah.
felt like she was being sexualized. Um, and one of the things we also talked about was Shaquille O'Neal being on her podcast shortly after that, and some comments he made, I guess some people read into that as it making her feel uncomfortable that her mentor would comment on the shorts she was wearing. And she's, just sick and tired of being sexualized, which is very interesting that she would say that, but yet come out half naked. Anybody want to start and lead with their opinion on that?
I
And when
feel
you
like
start talking, go ahead and introduce yourself for the audience. I'm sorry. Tell us who you are before you start talking, a little bit about your background, and then definitely go ahead and answer that question.
for sure. I'm Jeremiah. I'm speaking from I guess the mid 20 to 20-year old range, and let me speak for the guys. Um, male perspective. Honestly, I did see the video. I did question the shorts on when, like, I didn't question the shorts on Wild 'N Out until like the whole controversy about Shaq. Now I do get it. I definitely understand how like your mentor, speaking about the shorts or bringing it up, basically saying. Cause I seen the video. He said like he was talking like hypothetically, like, oh, if the course was shorter, if the goal was shorter, so you guys can dunk more, and you wore those shorts you wore before in that one show, you'll make X amount of money or whatever may be the case. So I feel like he was just talking like just locker room talk. Yet I understand how she could feel uncomfortable because like she's looking at him like, oh, a mentor, like my dad, like I would never. But at the end of the day, that's not her dad. So I mean, you'd be a fool to assume anything else unless that kind of like boundary was set. And I don't really, I don't obviously we don't know their personal life, but I don't think that I wouldn't have, I don't know. I don't think that they had that conversation before. Hey, I really want you to be a father figure to me. I think this kind of like happened, and you never know what Shaq's motives was before. So or he's still a man. Like he's still gonna, assume and see.
Well, they had that discussion. He told her, you like a daughter to me, aren't are you not? She said, yeah. He said, how many times have I told you I love you like my daughter? Woo woo. So they've had that discussion. It was shown on tape. So I think they both were clear with that. I just think that I don't know. My personal opinion, and I want to get you guys' opinion out there. It seemed like to me when I seen the video, he was coming at her like from a mentor standpoint, making her think and rethink what she wore. And if you're not comfortable with him bringing it out right now, but you was yet comfortable to do it in front of millions of people who are people that are just like me and even your father that will see you. Well, let me get someone else's opinion. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jeremiah. I
I
appreciate
can
that.
I can jump in. So, hey everyone, my name is Mo. I'm also representing the mid-20s, and like my background, I'm an engineer, so I'm kind of going to approach it from like a professionalism standpoint. For me, firstly, I have an overarching view that a woman sexualizing herself is not permission for you to sexualize her. But outside of that, I would say that there's a time and a place. And so for me, I kind of look at it like they're not talking at like in a smoking session off camera. And I, recognize that it may have come off or seemed like a chill spot to say something like that. But at the end of the day, she was working. And even people who are actors or actresses, or whether you're recording for your job at a you know, you're doing a podcast, or if you're an anchor on a news channel or a singer in a studio, you still have workers' rights and an expectation of professionalism in your place of work. So I don't think that it was an appropriate place or time to say something like that, because she was just trying to do her job.
Was it an appropriate place or time for her to wear those kind of shorts to wilding out?
Well, I would say that's definitely a matter of opinion. I'll be honest and say there's nothing that she's worn that I wouldn't have worn at 22. We have to be reminded that she is a 22-year-old girl, and Shaq is 30 years her senior. That's a 52-year-old man with children
But he
older
was,
than her.
well, let me get some other people's opinion, because I don't think he was trying to approach her and hit on her at all, in no ways.
Yeah, I don't
And
think he was
it
either.
sounds like that's what you're thinking. Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't think it didn't come off that way. And I think that him stating the obvious wasn't like an advancement on her. He just was literally saying like if X, Y, and Z happened. Now I think now if people want to fault Shaq for his thinking, which even then I would be sensitive, because it's like he's literally saying that sex sells, and it was something we all know. That's the elephant in the room. So like, are we just going to ignore the fact that sex sells? That's what he was trying to say. Like, hey, sex sells. If you wore this, that will get you a whole bunch of money. And so that's the truth. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
women now with OnlyFans, and things in that manner. And it's subjective if you think it's right or wrong, but it's like that. The truth of the matter is these women are making more money because they are presenting themselves in a certain way. And I think that if she just didn't feel comfortable about that the idea of herself, she could say, yeah, that's not what I want to do. That's different. That's the end of the conversation. But for us, I think, I don't know if she felt that as bad as she did, because I'm not sure if she came out and said, I felt this way, but people are putting on like a, you know,
Okay,
their own
well, let
spin
me
on it.
ask. So let me get a woman's perspective, Mo. How do you feel about the idea that there's certain ways that we as women have to dress, and that there's certain ways that if we do dress, that might invite unwanted attention? Do you think that there's certain ways that we dress that will invite unwanted attention?
I think that's a loaded question. I think like someone would want a simple answer to that question, but there are studies and evidence that shows that in more conservative countries, there's higher rates of rape and abuse towards women. Even if in a woman, I don't want to pronounce this wrong. Is it called a bakla something?
Mhm.
Even women who are head to toe covered are experiencing abuse. So I wouldn't blame it on the clothes. Um,
Do you
and
think, let me ask the question. Do you think that people who are more exposed probably have a higher probability of getting unwanted attention than someone who is completely covered in a hijab or bakla, or, what have you, full suit?
I think that's an interesting question. I don't have an answer to that, and I would probably bet money that that
Well,
I mean that's not the case. But
if you're betting money, then betting money is definitely on probability. And if you're going off probability, you would have lost.
well,
Because
I'm
we
saying
clearly know that there definitely is a higher probability of women attracting unwanted attention when they are half naked, as opposed to if they were fully dressed. Let me get
well,
Ifa Bukola, you're awfully quiet. I'm sorry. Uh, Go ahead, Mo. You want to?
yeah, I was just gonna say context matters. So I think you'd be right in the instance of like seeing somebody on TV with booty shorts as opposed to a pantsuit, you'd probably pay more attention to the person in booty shorts. But if we look at, real world context where a lot of sexual abuse happens between family members or coworkers in situations where people weren't necessarily dressed like that, I'm just it would be interesting to find out if most of the time it's a sex worker or someone who is dressed in a
I,
certain way.
I think, I
Mhm.
think, I think, and that you're valid in what you're saying. I think that we're talking about the most basic of instances. We're not talking about those special cases. We're not talking about, like, I feel like a lot of the instances you're bringing up, there's something like peculiar about the situation. The person probably got some mentally going on with the person, or some other things. There's too many factors in
So you
your
don't think
examples.
you don't
But
think nature
I'm
has its say in it?
well, hold on. I'm just saying in the most simplest of matters. If I'm a man and there's a woman, right, my wife or whatever, am I going to be more attracted to my woman if she comes in with lingerie or with, like you said, pantsuits? Like obviously the basic answer is no. Lingerie is going to cause me to look at you in a certain way more than the other would. And I think that's what she was more so asking. But like you said,
That's
and
based on
other,
exposure, right? Is that based on exposure?
yeah, that's what she said.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Okay. Okay. Now, and outside of the marriage, let's take it to just a man on the streets where your hormones is raging. You single, you out there, you having a good time. And she's single and y'all young. Which one are you going to pay more attention to and want to flirt with more? Someone who is half dressed, barely dressed, versus someone who is fully covered. And like as she brought out, the hijab or the Muslim guard. Your opinion, sir? Jeremiah, we still have you?
yeah, you talking about me?
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, like I said, like yeah, of course.
Which
Like
one are you going to be more attracted to? Which one are you going to probably flirt with more?
I think more. I think more skin for sure. More skin.
Okay. Ifa Bukola, please chime in. What's going on with you? We still have you?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm definitely here. Yeah.
What's your opinion on what you've been hearing?
Well, I'm more I'm more soaking up, what the young people are saying. Um, I'm fascinated and I'm really appreciative of the fact that, they're expressing themselves freely. It's insightful. It lets me know where they are at, with how they see things, what they think, what they feel. And I'm staying in a objective place where I'm not necessarily determined who's right or wrong, but what can I understand about where this generation is at with these ideas? I have my opinions, I have my views, I have my thoughts, um, but I think that I might be able to understand a lot more about how these things are changing, as I'm listening, and or what it could mean. So, I'm really
Okay.
creating a dialogue,
Okay. Okay. You want to sit back and enjoy more dialogue. So my question to you all is, is it fair for society to expect women to dress differently to avoid unwanted attention? Is it fair for them to expect that, to ask women to do that?
I would say no, because you're asking someone to do something based on you're telling someone to do something not because it's what they want to do, but what external forces might do to them. You're not giving them their own autonomy.
Mm. But when do we look at someone's own
Well,
autonomy as being a danger to themselves?
I would like to answer. I would like to answer the question you just said.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think that it's not fair to ask. Like it's kind of like what she said, piggybacking on what she said. I feel like at that point you're removing their free will. I think though that you know, like with every decision in life, it's as long as you can accept the consequences that come with it, or in consequences gets a negative connotation. But I mean, what the events that may follow, you need to be able to accept that in order to be like, okay, well, what your decision is. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's right for us to expect that, but I think the person in doing whatever decision they do decide to do, you have to understand there may be some people that may view you this way. There may be some people that view you this way, or you might run into these social issues, but it doesn't mean necessarily, at the end of the day, if you whatever you chose to do, if you're living it to the fullest, or you wholeheartedly believe in your decision, at the end of the day, that's what you did. Like,
Exactly.
So what does that mean? They have to accept the consequences as well?
I'm saying in terms of Angel Reese and Shaq, because she know that she has more shorts. Like if one of the outcomes is that Shaq might bring up that, hey, you wore those shorts would be nicer. She shouldn't have. She can feel uncomfortable, but to make it a big deal to the point where she's like trying to slander Shaq for it. It's like, nah, I didn't really do anything wrong because I just spoke about what I've acknowledged about you. I
Well,
see
let me
you
be
wear.
clear. I don't think it was her
Right,
slandering
right.
Shaq.
I'm just
It's
no,
all the
right,
other trolls. I want to just make sure I'm clear with that.
right, right. No, I'm just
We're
saying
not
in
saying it's
general.
you. Yeah,
I was using it as an
exactly.
example. I was using an example as if someone made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
If I just did like, yeah, exactly. You get it.
Okay. Did you want to comment, Mo? Do you think that it's fair for society to expect women to dress differently in order to avoid unwanted attention?
Yeah, I would agree with what Jeremiah said. It's when you do it, when you do anything, when you get in a car, you know there's a possibility that you're gonna crash. You still have the right to get in the car. I would say that I wouldn't say that it's okay to tell women that they can or cannot dress a certain way because of external factors. I would say it is fair to say that that woman will know that she is more likely or less likely to endure certain experiences based on that. That is true. But and earlier I didn't bring up the Middle East to be an extremist.
All right.
I think, yeah, it's just representative of, like laws over there are like, well, you have to dress like this because we gonna be sexualizing your ankles, and is that
Mm,
fair? That we've seen what happens in humanity. This is not an experiment. This is a total region of the world where we've seen what happens over time and how extreme it can get over time when you tell women, hey, I'm looking at you like this, and I don't like that I'm looking at you like that, so now you have to do this. And then 30 years later there's another law, and 30 years later there's another law, and now there are women living the handmaid's tale.
okay. So do we think that your dress can influence your safety? What do you guys think about that? Can your dress, the way you dress, influence your safety? For instance, they tell you, let's go camping. We're going camping this weekend. Make sure y'all come, y'all show up. Are you coming camping with us in the woods in a bikini? No, I would think not. More than likely, you're gonna be what? Wearing, anybody ever been camping? Can I hear y'all?
I would say, I
Yeah,
would
I'm
say,
listening. Yeah,
You're gonna be covered up. You're gonna be wearing long
but
sleeves
that,
for what? Mosquitoes,
okay.
safety. You're gonna be dressed according to your environment. Am I correct? For your
I
safety.
yes, agreed.
Okay, for your safety. So if they say these men out here are like some hungry wolves, why would you go out there with the meat all out? You know what I'm saying? That's just, I don't know. I do think that society does influence how we are supposed to dress in order to feel safe. I do believe that. You have different cultures and societies, definitely Middle Eastern, Dubai, things like that, where they are encouraging women to be more modest for their security, their safety. Hell, you got some places here on the U.S. Shores, So, but do you think that does the way a woman dress affects her security?
I
Okay.
Yes, I
go ahead.
do.
Okay, who's that talking?
Yeah, Bukola.
Okay. And you said you do. Go ahead, elaborate for me.
Well, it not only affects her security, but it also affects security of those who love her or feel responsible for her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it depends. Like, it really depends what we're because objectively, like, I feel like overall, I'm looking at overall stances. I feel like to get to a perfect world, which doesn't really exist, but the ideal world we should be living in is um definitely holding ourselves accountable. Just as there is some pretty messed up men out here. Not saying all men, obviously, but there's some men that will overpower a woman just because of their lustful desires, or will overly sexualize a woman, especially when they're not looking forward to it. So in that case of overall, it's like it's accountability on both sides, because I can't just keep saying like, oh well, if you dress better, then I won't necessarily devour you. But I will say in times right now, if you know your playing field, then you want to come prepared accordingly, just to make sure you lessen some of the possibility. But is that something that we should just aim to just keep as is? No, we should definitely aim for a better future. And a better future would be, you know, both sides doing their part. But as far as me wanting to make sure my daughter or my sister or my mother or my girlfriend make it home without any type of extra um, encounters that may jeopardize their well-being, yeah, I might tell her, you know what, don't do that, just because it lessens the likelihood of X, Y, and Z.
Okay, let me ask you, Jeremiah, do you have sisters?
Nah, I'm just playing. Nah, dude.
Word.
Okay, so you got sisters. Have you ever caught your sisters trying to go out dressed a certain way that maybe you thought could be risking their security, or that you had safety concerns for them?
Definitely.
I'm sorry?
I said definitely.
Okay. And why did you feel that as a man?
Um, it's just because I understand. I don't look at my sisters in that way. Me being a man, I'm around other men. I understand how men can be. And then also knowing that they are my responsibility, I wouldn't, like, push come to shove, a man get froggy and he do something dumb. Now I'm having to put myself in a position to address what happened or address that person, and typically that's gonna be a severe consequence for that person, and which also can lead putting me into a severe consequence, which may be jail time, or I might, if I end up feeling like I got to kill this man or he losing my life. So it's like, not
Sounds
saying
like
that.
sounds just like what Ifa Bukola just said. The way she
Yeah.
dresses puts not just herself, but her loved ones at risk as well, because
Yes, it
they
does.
now got to be froggy. They now got to protect her and do something if something
Can
happens
I
to
ask you a
her.
question?
Sure.
What are they protecting her from? That
Another
The
man.
exactly.
another
They're
the
protecting her from
abuse.
that's
Uh-huh.
my point. His answer is my point. They're protecting her from other men. So I agree with all of the points that have been made, and I agree that a woman going out and dressing a certain way, or having a drink and getting loose, all of these things that a woman can do to have fun or feel equal to a man, um puts her in a position to be sexualized, or for the people who protect her to be offended by what might happen to her. I agree with all of that. But I don't see why our approach to addressing this issue is to change her and to not change the culture of the predators that we're saying we're worried about. So why is the conversation not, okay, a woman can't leave the house in shorts, that without men sexualizing her? Why isn't the approach to talk to men about sexualizing women, as opposed to telling her how to dress? When I don't think historically we've given the same energy to men. Even
Mm-hmm.
when beaches were first considered as like vacation places to go to vacation, it was
Mm-hmm.
for women to wear, I won't even say a bikini. They could wear onesies, and even those onesies had to have the shorts attached to the bottom, and they had to have the straps on the top. Very, very conservative swimsuits. But there weren't, the same level of rules around what a man had to wear at the beach. We don't have conversations about what men have to wear or how men have to hold themselves in public, because women are not assaulting men at those same rates. So why is our conversation geared towards the woman and not geared towards
Well,
the
I
Well,
will
that
say,
okay.
that
I,
pretty
And
much
that's
answers
a
the
very
question.
good question.
in
And
of
and so let me ask this question. And I'm glad you asked that, Mo.
well, wait.
Let's bring let
I want to hear. I do want to hear Barbara McCullough what he about to say. If I'm
Oh, okay,
McCullough.
go ahead.
Well, she answers the question, in what she just explained, and I really appreciate what she just explained. But the nature of man and the nature of woman, the aim of man and the aim of woman are not the same. A man who takes his shirt off and a woman who takes her shirt off, a man who wears something revealing uh, it's not the same as a woman who wears something revealing. Biologically, something entirely different takes place. Testosterone and estrogen has totally different reactions to the form of a man versus a form of a woman. And with men being how they're designed biologically or physiologically, there could be a lot of harm if he's inspired without self-restraint, or if there's, other things involved that compromises his ability to find his self-restraint. And not only is she in harm's way, but those who love her is also in harm's way. So a woman is not responding to a man who wears something tight or revealing the same way that a man responds to a woman. Our bodies are entirely different, and our biochemistry is entirely different. And it's not the same circumstance.
Thank you for that
Okay.
perspective.
Yeah. And so I do want to ask the question: do we think men have a responsibility of creating these safe environments, regardless of what women wear? Is that something we as women expect? Do we think that our men have a responsibility in creating a safe environment, regardless of what we wear? Let's talk about that.
I think the
Mo,
human
this will be a
being.
good question for you.
I think it's a good question for the men. They should be having these
Yeah,
conversations.
right.
No, I said,
I,
do we think that our men? Well, I want to know, do we as women think that our men have the responsibility? And then I want the men to answer the question: do y'all think y'all do have a responsibility of creating a safe environment, regardless of what we wear?
Then absolutely. My answer is absolutely yes. I would say that women have a responsibility, like we said earlier, and we all agreed, that women have a responsibility because of how it can affect them and the people around them. And I would say men have a responsibility, and their responsibility might be even stronger because at least theirs is pertaining to themselves. I think telling a woman you have a responsibility because of what they might do to you, and telling a man you have responsibility because of what you might do to someone is even more important.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask a question. I'm gonna take it to nature because I like watching those nature channels. Do you think that the gazelle has the responsibility of going out in the field at a certain time of the day, or does the lion have the responsibility of watching out, making sure he doesn't come out the same time the gazelle comes out?
I mean, I think just like in human interactions, context matters. So there's times when the lion would limit themselves, because if there's a drought in Africa, if there's a drought, all of the animals come to the watering hole and the lions don't attack. And if it's we're talking about the natural circle of life, and it's that season where the lions come to a certain region and they feed, then they will probably eat that gazelle. But it's all contextual. I don't think that we can boil it down to a statement as simple as that, because humans
But that's the thing. I think that's really what it is. I think we think so much into it when we're not looking at hormonally and neurologically, right? What we are talking about. What is it? Whatever. Chemistry, chemically. Because the man is operating with that same force and energy as that lion when this gazelle pops up and pops out. I don't think that there is an on and off season, because what is not a season for one pack of lions might be season for the other pack. I'm just saying now.
do you think it matters if the man is married? Should he
Oh
still
my
go out?
God. Now that is relative. What does
That's what
that
I'm
mean?
saying. That's my point, is that there is always context. So any
No,
gazelle
what I'm
out in the
saying
street,
is no, that doesn't matter. I'm saying his nature will break all vows, honey. Listen, I am telling you what he is born to do. This is something that is naturally his design. And then for us to come in and ask him to act other than his nature is insane.
I I think if you just boil it down to the most simplest of terms, and even in human experience and also in Animal Planet, um, males are born to seek out a female companion. A female companion is not searching. A female companion is waiting for the males to line up and show me which one is the best one. So, if,
Right.
like basically what you said with Mo earlier, when you said when you see a man, you don't want to attack and jump on him because that's not even in your nature to. You're like, I'm gonna wait until the best one tries to come after me, and then
Right.
I'll pick and choose. But a man, my whole life, I've been looking, I'm ready to pounce, I'm ready. Um, I
Right.
so that's with that, and then I there's a story in the Bible that even talks about um the story of Lot. And Lot, once they fled the city, he lost his wife and he had his two daughters. But once they were in the cave, there he even had sexual relationships. He was, granted, he was drunk, but given certain circumstances, he still operated out of his biological
Mm,
nature and had sex with his daughters, and because they
mm,
thought they were the only people alive on earth. So giving the right circumstances, I'm saying, even no matter what conscious decision or what self-discipline you may feel like you have, it could be broken. So I'm not saying, yes, I believe all human beings should have self-discipline, period. Like, we should be able to have
mm.
self-restraint, well, male or female. But what I'm saying is that let's not be stupid to our nature and say, oh, well, this is what we want to happen versus what is actually is. And I think that once you accept that, we can now learn how to be safe in the times we are in, but also work for a better future, and to a point where we can make sure we hold our man accountable. Like, yo, you should have some, at least a decent amount of self-restraint where you're not out here sexually abusing people, and
right?
same thing versus vice versa.
I think self-restraint is the point. I think self-restraint was the question. So yes, arousal is a natural instinct. It's a natural way of life. It's how humans are able to reproduce. A functioning man is going to be able to be aroused. But I don't think anybody on this call would say it's okay if a man gets aroused by a child to not restrain himself. So when we're asking the question of um, should we in society there be an expectation for men to control themselves or not pounce after the things they see based on how somebody is dressed? The question is not about if you're going to be aroused. It's going to be, how do you handle it? And I still think that there should be an expectation around how they handle it.
Right.
Consent matters, whether there's a biological aspect to it or not.
Right, 100%. So, 100%. Like we said, we already agreed that the future, we believe that a better future is the self-restraint. But we also are saying that giving that, for instance, like you brought up a child. At the end of the day, if you were a mother, are you going to allow your 10-year-old daughter to wear booty shorts and actually like provocative booty shorts and throw makeup on and have her nails done at that age? And what is your reason for that? I believe your reason you not allowing them to do that is not because it's affecting them physically, psychologically, anything like that. What it does is that it puts them in danger in a certain way. It makes them be viewed a certain way that that might be dangerous if she walks outside this house. So at the end of the day, you are doing it for safety reasons. So the same way you would look at your child and say, I wouldn't want you to do that because I don't want what follows that, or the type of attention that follows that, is the same way you have to view that standpoint of, okay, do I feel like being harassed tonight? And not saying it's in a perfect world that's right for you to feel like, oh, I have to be mindful about that, but it's just literally a matter of safety. And like, danger is very much real. The fear is a mindset, but danger is very much real. So I can't sit there and talk about what the world should be like and then go outside and be mad when I get attacked. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, you made a decision, live with the decision. And like I said, I'm not saying you choosing to wear what you want to do, you gotta be accepting of getting sexually abused. And I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's a possibility. So don't, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we all agree on what the woman should do to protect her safety.
But we also
Why
said the
does
thing. We
why
all agree on the men too, though. We all said we agree men should have self-restraint. We all
well,
agree that we
I don't
should
know
get
if
to
I
that
would
point.
I don't know if I would call it I don't think we came to a full consensus, because even for me personally, with the biology argument, I think even then there's still a cultural aspect to the biology that you're referencing. So yes, a man is naturally aroused, can get aroused, but where we come from in parts of West Africa, there are still tribes that are traditional and don't wear anything up top, beads around the waist, leaves around the waist, and necklaces where the breasts are not a sexualized body part. So it's something that can change culturally from place to place. Everything.
So you think that one day you see for America the women where they are walking around topless and leaves around their waist, and men not be responsive like they are over in Africa?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And I don't want us to go
Well,
back to that because I don't think it's fashionable. But
all
I'm just
right,
saying
but I'm
that,
just saying, so you cannot bring that up right now because that's not relative to your geographical location. Because we all know the geographical location influences how we dress. If you live in Alaska, best believe we ain't even gonna be having this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but I brought it
So
up to say that what you are being aroused by can change it culturally or based on proximity or geography. So
so you
to
saying it can
simply say,
change,
I'm
it
saying,
can
but
change, it can change based on
Let her say it too.
yeah, go ahead. I want to know when you say it can change, what
it
can
can
change?
change based on societal expectations and standards. So I'm just saying that, as you know, as women have come from being dressed like pilgrims to saying, hey, we want to wear dresses sometimes, and sometimes those dresses might be really short. Or Angel Reese wanted to wear a romper where her booty cheeks was kind of hanging out at the bottom, not even kind of, but hanging out on the bottom. That shouldn't. We want to live in, if we're saying we want to live in a world where that doesn't elicit you having sexual fantasies about abusing me, I think that's fair, because that can't, and I think that is something that we've proven can change over time.
I think I
Mm.
I want to piggyback off of that. I think that uh, yes, there's certain things that we can do. There's certain things that definitely we can do that we definitely can enhance our experience. But I feel like the one thing we have to all like one thing that doesn't change regardless of like you said, geographically or wherever the culture may be. At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is a man is still born seeking and a woman is still born choosing. And so at the end of the day, even if in Africa it's less likely for breasts and things like that to arouse them as quickly as the United States or somewhere else in the world, the fact of the matter is the nature is still there. I'm not saying that. So with that being said, yeah, it may be less likely for you to pounce on a woman because you see breasts, but given that nature being in play, that's still true. So I think it's just accepting that the foundation of what it is. At the end of the day, we do know men are going to be searching all the time. Women are going to be choosing. That's the foundation of agreeing on that's the foundation of just our nature, animal, planet, or
Yeah.
human.
So, if Abukola, what is your opinion on this?
Well, my opinion is that both parties have a responsibility to the public. Women and men have to, meet in the middle with that responsibility. Man has to bring the self-restraint and the respect, and women should take precaution, not to provoke nature, And that doesn't mean that she has to cover from head to toe, but be mindful, take consideration, not to create provocation, a provoking circumstance around her where nature is provoked, because the nature of man is not going to change. It will never change. It's who he is, it's how he is, and it's how he's supposed to be. He's supposed to feel something when he sees the nakedness of a woman. That's exactly how he is supposed to feel, and it's how he's supposed to think. It's not wrong. It's not a mistake. It's not perversion. For him to act in perversion is a different thing, but His nature is to respond to a woman's beauty and form. That's his nature. So power is at play. A woman's power is in her image and beauty. A man's power is in his strength. So the same way that a man has to not push his strength around and be intimidating to others or provoking fear out of others, a woman has to manage her power as well. So I don't think it's fair to say that there should just be full out restriction and domination, and control, but power has to be managed and it has to be contained in appropriate ways, not to provoke each other, so we got to meet in the middle with that if we, want to share that responsibility.
Well, that's
was well
very
said. I like
true.
that.
Very true. Very true. Thank you for that. But
And
now,
I
do we think,
dialogue,
let me ask this question. Do we
yeah, if
think
I can
that,
say this real quick,
uh-huh,
I think this is a great dialogue, which is why, I don't like to interfere too much, because I think it's great that young people are talking, young people are expressing themselves, and you're giving, you all have a lot of thought about it, and it's insightful, and I think it really can help a lot of people, to listen to you guys, dialogue and
uh-huh,
talk. I think is great. Just want to say
uh-huh.
that.
Thank you. I concur. I concur. Thank you, young people. You guys are doing very good. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm gonna edit that out. Do we think that Black women and other women of color feel like their choice of
Uh-oh.
clothing is perceived differently than those of non-color women?
Absolutely.
Y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying.
100%.
In what way?
I think, to be fair, everything, and I don't know if we're staying on the topic of Angel Reese because we started with that, but even if we're not, I'll
No,
just
no,
say,
honey, we going down this rabbit hole. This is what we're
okay,
supposed to do. We're
I'll
gonna
use her.
uncover this. We're gonna uncover this.
Okay, I'll still use her as an example.
Okay.
I think I would go even further to say that everything that the Black woman does is perceived in a different light. So people probably saw a lot of edits of, and people just got blatantly racist in the comments when Angel Reese did that, like, what's his name? That wrestler, John Cena thing over the face, and started pointing to her ring finger and all that on the court. There was videos of white girls on the court doing that the same day. And everybody was in those comments saying, you're such a competitor. She's so competitive. But when Angel Reese did it, it was a different story. And I think before I talk about the way she dressed, like I said, I would say it's an overall thing, because even people talking about the outfit that she wore and the stage that she was on, oh, look at her. This is the career she's trying to pursue. She going on Wild and Out. Well, Caitlin Clark's team didn't win the national championships. Angel Reese's team won, but it was still Caitlin Clark who was invited to the White House. And it was still Caitlin Clark who was invited to SNL. So Angel Reese said, I'm going to open my own doors. I'm going to go to Wild and Out. She went to a space that she would be welcome in, dressed how people dress on that show, and it's perceived totally different.
Okay. Anybody else have that same opinion or view, that Black women or women of color are perceived differently compared to other women who may wear the same exact thing?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Want to expound on that? No? Y'all want to expound on that?
I agree. I think, like I said, like kind of piggybacking on what Shimon said, I think Black women and people of color in general have, a little bit more to be concerned about or deal with a little bit more in every situation that we all might be going through. So I feel like, for sure, I don't know if me personally, if me seeing one race in the same outfit would make a difference. Maybe by body type, maybe. Obviously, the Black woman has more curves, so maybe. But like, I don't really see.
Is that our fault? That ain't our fault.
No. Like I said, I don't necessarily see the difference. But obviously, if I see a white girl White girl. But if I see a Caucasian woman that has no butt, and then I see a black woman, yes, there's a difference there. But that's just out of, I don't
Okay.
know.
I heard two yeses. Ifabukola, did you say yes too?
Yeah, I said yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
expound.
Well, it's definitely perceived different for many reasons. The obvious, she for so long has had a unique shape compared to everybody else, and until recent times where people are deliberately, forming their bodies and different things like that. She has been the one that stood out the most, in having, the voluptuous shape that she has. And so it tends to draw more attention to her, and speculation, things like that. And that has, nothing to do with character, but it just, is simply image, that people might scrutinize, because she happens to stand out with it. The other thing is culture. Culturally, we all could probably relate to how expressive we are and how dedicated we could be to imitating uh, art with our life, the music video, the culture, different things like that. How close can I make my life to the music video? How close can I pattern my expressions and style to the artist, and incorporate that into real life? It draws attention. Again, it's not good nor bad, but it does result in drawing a lot of attention, expressing ourselves so uniquely, because we're dedicated to the art of making art out of our life. The other thing I would say is where we choose to put our pride. Our sisters seem to take a lot of pride in, their backside. You could see a lot of pictures publicly that they would take happen to be turned backwards, happen to be turned around. Very few pictures that they take are taken, shoulder to shoulder, frontward, things like that. So it's become very obvious where our pride is at. And that becomes, again, something that goes under speculation, so it's so many things that draws attention to her. But rather it's a good thing or bad thing, it's probably another conversation though.
And I appreciate you saying that. I will give you guys a chance to reply to that, and then we're going to go ahead and bring this to a wrap because I know some of you guys have prior engagements, and I thank you for your time with doing this pilot. Oh my God, this was wonderful. It went very well.
Yeah, you
But
folks,
yeah, but if anybody want to give their rebuttal to what anybody has just said, and then we can end that. And I want to invite you guys back to continue this because you guys have very good perspective from your age, your generation, and it's fresh, it's unique and very insightful. You guys are very deliberate with how you deliver your message and thoughtful. And so I appreciate that as well. But anybody want to give a rebuttal?
Not a rebuttal. I would just completely agree. I think it can't be lost on us that how you act when you're dressed in that outfit matters. So if you're turning around in the mirror and taking a picture of the back, it's gonna mean something, 100%. And then also there is like a defaulted perspective. So like if Beyonce, the reason she wears those, what do they call it, like bodysuits, that silhouette was created for her initially by a stylist because she used to be a ballerina. That's where that came from. And, it's been throughout her entire career. She never has any clothes on and this and that. But, Taylor Swift wears the same thing. Taylor Swift twerks poorly, but she still twerks in the same.
Not
You know,
poorly, not poorly.
the default, you know, but nevertheless, she's still twerking in the same exact outfit. So, you know, there is definitely a default where we are over sexualizing the Black woman for doing similar things. But to his point, it absolutely matters also what we do when wearing those clothes, and that contributes, as well as what Jeremiah mentioned about our natural curvature and body type. There's other
Okay, okay. All right. Well said. Anybody else?
No, I agree with both people.
Well, thank you guys so much for contributing. Once again, I appreciate your time. This was awesome, amazing. You heard it from 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 40-year-olds. And we want to know if you can relate. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share, like, and continue to tune in to this podcast where we are going to bring you everyday topics and things, relationships. Can you be real? With relating to the relationships between men and women and the dynamic of how we have relations or interact. Ifa Bukola, you got any closing words?
Sure. Thank you, younger people for choosing to use your voice, for speaking, for giving your opinions, your perspectives, all of that. This is your generation. This is your world. This is your time, regardless of what the elders of us think or feel or whichever else. We offer our advice, we offer our perspective, our experience, different things like that. But ultimately, it's time that power obviously goes into your hands. And it's a blessing when you don't mind to talk to us, to express yourself. And I always want to encourage that. It doesn't matter if I agree with everything or disagree with some things or whatever else. The fact that you're speaking is where all the value is at.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that. I respect it. I cherish it. And I encourage you guys to, please keep being vocal. I really hope it spreads, that you will look forward to being vocal again in the future, and thank you, Shannon, for having this, this, beautiful.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you. You heard it here. Have a good night. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.